Hi, this is Wilna and welcome to my second blog process video. And I'm so excited to be bringing these more often, and I'm hoping once a week, and I think I'm going to be posting these on Wednesdays. So be sure to check my blog on Wednesdays. But for this specific page or cut files that I created for this page, I made 2 pages. So you might find a little surprise on my blog tomorrow. So just be sure to come back tomorrow. I created a cut file that looks like paint strokes. And I know this might be a little weird to do, but for the longest time I've been thinking of doing paint stroke cut files. So I just thought, why not? And I went ahead and I created these. So when you print them out or cut them out, they look exactly like paint strokes. So I decided to go ahead on this page and just paint them with acrylic paint. And my whole goal here is to see how thick I can lay on the paint on these cut files. And you will only be able to see really how they look once they are dry. But they are very authentic and they really look like paint strokes. Now I was thinking, why not just paint the paint on the page? Why do you need a cut file that looks like a paint stroke? And the very simple answer is because now you can make them 3-dimensional, you can layer them, and if you make a mess on one, it's not the whole page that's not working. So I experimented with media on my cut files, and I really loved the acrylic paint. So I'm using Liquitex, which is by far my favorite paint, and you can see how thick I'm painting on my paint stroke cut files. So just layer it on really thick. And this is, well, for me it was a 2-day process because I painted the cut files the first day, and the second day they were dry enough for me to use. So I really let them dry for a long time. And I'm using the paint straight out of the container. I'm not mixing paint. I just decided to keep it as simple as possible. So you can see again, I'm working impasto with acrylic paint. I cut these paint strokes, I cut them out of watercolor paper that were very thick. So I did double cuts. If you watched last week's video, you will remember that I used the hearts was also a double cut out of very thick paper, and I just love it lately. I love working on very good quality paper with my die cuts. So this is really simple. Just paint the paint strokes with paint and let them dry. So I'm just going to I'm not going to edit this. You can just see how I'm painting them different colors, and I decided to go with the rainbow colors. You can of course make them any color schemes you want to. On the page that you'll see tomorrow, I went with a more yellow, green and blue color scheme. There's no orange or reds, but I love the red or the orange in this page. It really made it pop. So that blue that I'm painting on there is called Prussian blue, and it's one of my favorite colors to paint with. And the other colors is a lime green, the orange, the cadmium yellow. I'm just putting those there so you can have an idea of how the paint strokes will look once they're done. The other thing is, for tomorrow's page I'm going to use gouache. So it's going to be more of a watercolor look to it, which is also going to be super pretty. And there I'm mixing the acrylic paint with a little bit of white I think I just wanted to make that Viridian green a little lighter. I think this is the main reason why I decided to use the paint straight out of the tubes, because once you start mixing your paint, then I'm never happy. Then it's too light, then it's too dark. So simplify the process if you want to a little. I just mixed a little bit of white into the Prussian blue, and you can see how pretty that color is, and it dried quite dark still. So it wasn't super light once it was dry. Now it's just important that they dry completely, and like I said, I used a couple of hours to dry it. Next, I quickly want to show you how I did the journaling on this page. So in Photoshop, you want to click on File and then New, and put in there 12" by 12", and then make sure it's 300 dpi on a white background and click OK. And now you want to select your type tool, which is the little T or T on your keyboard, and position it and drag it where you want your text to go. And now I've copied the lyrics of a song, and I'm just going to paste it in here, and then I'm going to just take away all the spaces and just make it basically a couple of long lines of text. And the song here is You Don't Know You're Beautiful by One Direction, and this song just reminds me of Kirsten. I think it reminds me of all three my girls, but she just loves it and she sings along whenever it comes up on the radio, like teenagers do. So I'm basically, like I said, just making a couple of lines, long lines of text, and I'm really going to forward it quickly so you can see how I'm doing it. I'm just positioning my cursor and then hitting delete to get rid of the entries and the spaces and things. So once you have all your text on there and the spacing is fine, then we want to just select them all and choose your type. And I chose the typical typewriter font for this one, and my color was black. Right, but of course I didn't want something just plain and simple. I want the text to overlap. So you can see there I copied a bunch of the text and I cut it. You right click and you click cut, and now I created a new text box and you pasted it in there, and now you can see you can move the second text box to overlap with the first one, and then you can see how I just rotated it a little bit by clicking one of the corners. When you hit V, you get the move tool, and then you can just change things there. Right, and then I just printed it out on my big format printer. I selected my Epson, and then you just want to make sure that you select the right paper size, and you do that. This was the first time I printed out of the new Photoshop Creative Cloud, so it was a little bit new to me, and there I found the correct size. So I always choose 12 by 12 borderless, and you can see the size was adjusted, and I made sure that I printed on matte paper so that it doesn't use the gloss optimizer. Otherwise the paper is way too wet and it doesn't work anyway on plain cardstock. And then I just printed it out. And here you can see how it looks, and I love it. And now we're just going to go ahead and finish our page, and this is super fun. So like I said, the idea with the paint strokes was that you can layer them, they can have a three-dimensional look to them, you can really just play with them, and I arranged them in the form of the rainbow, so with the yellows and so forth. And you can see how true they really look like paint strokes. So I'm going to, because of the thick paper and the acrylic paint, they are quite dimensional, they stand up a little bit. So I'm going to be using some hot glue just to get them down, and then pop dots at the bottom just to lift them off the page a little bit. The frame that I framed the photograph in is by Heidi Swap, and I love that decorative frames. And the title, Reminds Me of You, is also a cut file that you can find in iheartstudio.ca along with my paint stroke cut files. So I think it's going to be a very fun library that I'm building up in iHeartStudio. Right, now I'm going to drip black ink there. You can see I'm using a big round brush, and I'm going to put that away so that they can dry completely, because I don't want to smear it all over the page. Once it's dry, we are going to finish the page, and this is not going to take super long, and I loved how it turned out. I wanted to add those black dots because it just makes the page pops. And the reminds me of you is white on white, so it's subtle and it's lovely, but when you look at the page you can read it very good. It's a little harder on the video to see, but you'll see on the photographs you can actually see it quite well. I am using a little bit of hot glue, and now I'm just taking my pointy tool, just pushing it down into the hot glue. Right, I'm forwarding the video here, and what I want to do now, I was just looking for a couple of delicate embellishments just to embellish a little bit in the middle, and then I think my page was done. I think the main focus of the page were the paint strokes, so I don't want to take away from that. So I was looking and taking away some embellishments to see what would work, and in the end I just used a couple, but they were well placed, and I loved the result. One was the flower by Maggie Holmes from her previous collection. I think it was thrift shop or flea market. I always think thrift shop. And then just little things. That heart is by Dear Lizzie, her Daydreamer collection. And I love the pink offset against the blues and the greens. That red puffy sticker, which I love, and then just that little heart, what do you call it, a paper clip. That's right. So now I'm just adding a little bit of glue here and there, just a little bit to keep everything together. And my page is almost done. I'm just going to use a dot of glue at the back of the photo. Don't use hot glue in photographs. I didn't do that. You didn't see that. So now I have this beautiful black and white paper. It's by, I think it's craft paper made it. It's an old piece of paper. You can see it's a scrap. Don't have a lot left, so I'm just trimming a bit of it using the paper that I painted on, and I just want to back everything up on it. So I'm just going to use it on the side and then layer that page on it. So I'm cutting it a little smaller. And I think again the black and white just pops on the page, and I love how it looks. And in fact I used that piece of black and white stripes on the other page as well, but you'll have to wait till the next video to see that. So now I just want to add my journaling, and then the page is all done. I'm using the stamp just to stamp the date, and I'm just going to write right in between the date stamp, because most of the journaling was printed on the page, even if it's just the lyrics of a song. I just want to write a little sentiment to Kirsten here. And here you can see the details of the page. It's vibrant, it's warm, and I love the glossy feel of the acrylic paint, the splash of black ink, and just that little bit of embellishments. And I think it's such a fun page to make. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.